G'day guys and welcome to Raging Rhino. It is time for episode 10 of Andor. This is called One Way Out. It is obviously going to be the jailbreak is what I'm guessing. I honestly thought that based on how slow this series has been, this was going to be the build-up or the planning stages of the jailbreak. But as I've mentioned all the way through this, I don't really know what this show is supposed to be pushing towards in regards to carrying out this story. All we've had so far is literally them going through the planning stages and everything for the heist, and now we're going through the jailbreak stuff. And as I've mentioned through a couple of my videos, the only people that I've really seen praising this are the Disney SEALs that are just seeing like things like holocrons, the Easter eggs that are all in the background. They just want to ship characters. And to be honest with you, there's nothing really much to the story in this. We'll see what these last couple of episodes give us, and of course episode 10, but I really don't know where this is actually going, where this is taking us, and what the overall story is supposed to be here. I still don't understand what's happened to the credits from the heist. I still don't understand what Mon Mothma's really doing in regards to trying to get credits and what that's actually for, but hopefully we get some answers moving forward in these last couple of episodes to maybe try and tie it all together. Anyway, look, this episode is 46 minutes long, so let's not waste any more time. If you are new here, of course, how I do this is I watch the episode, you get to see some of my reactions, and then, of course, at the end, you'll get to hear my review and my thoughts on the episode. So let's get into this.
You have someone in mind.
Should be Bail Organa. See, this wouldn't have happened if they actually had droids working there. And I want to point out once again that every prisoner in this prison is a human, not an alien. There are no aliens in Star Wars. I think this is the first episode that's fully actually left off from where we finished off in the last episode. Ugly Face is back, everybody.
Following hydraulic failure on hyperspace re-entry.
Oh, really? Following hydraulic failure. Gee, let's not all look at the guard at once. Go to bail for the fucking credits. Terrified.
One way out. Come on!
Oh, one way out. But they all, like, it's like they planned it without planning it. I thought we were going to get the plan, but, you know, they're all doing the same thing. Why wouldn't they grab some boots? There were boots right next to them when they got off their floor. I don't understand why they wouldn't at least grab some boots. The boots! There's boots right there! Grab some boots! One way out! So does he just stay there? The only one left. Man, they got a long way to swim. Where are they swimming to? Saw no land in sight. Oh, so he's a spy.
Congratulations.
He had everything to do with Eldani.
You're worth more than that.
Is this not the longest lift ride you've ever seen?
We've been grooming you for too long, and yes, you've been alone.
What a great
Career
choice
has
of
profited
words.
Greatly.
So Kino just stayed on there by himself. Really? That's the episode. There you go. Okay, this episode, I don't even really know where to start with this. I know that there's going to be heaps of people. I already know that there's going to be heaps of people out there that praise this because the action in this will really distract people from the stupid that's actually going on. So this episode pretty much leaps off from where we ended last episode with them taking out the dead guy, the guy that had the stroke, and they take him out through the workstation area, and all the night shift people are actually seeing him being carried through. While that's happening, obviously Andor and Kino have to go back to their dorm rooms, and this conversation that takes place between them, I feel is so stupid. It's like Andor is still trying to convince him, even after he said in the last episode that there's 12 guards on each floor and all of that kind of thing. And Andor's still trying to convince him that they need to essentially take over and they need to do this tomorrow because that's when they're going to replace the guy that just died. And it really comes across in this argument that they're having as really kind of petty and childish. It's like, why are they just yelling at each other? Why aren't they actually talking through what actually just happened? And yes, they are talking through what happened, but there's so much conflict at this moment between these two still that even after Kino goes, like I said, at the end of the last episode, Andor goes, how many guards on each floor? And Kino's like 12. He should already be convinced that they need to break out, but yet Kino still needs convincing. And I found this scene to be very, I don't know, just overacted. I reckon people are going to say that Andy Serkis did a fantastic job and Diego Luna did a fantastic job in acting this. I feel like it was so overdone that it came across as stupid to me. So there's that. And then they get taken back into their prison cells and they want to know what's going on and all of this kind of thing, all the other prisoners from the day shift. And Kino pretty much says that no one's getting out. Like, it's all true. They fried an entire floor. They killed 100 people because they transferred one person that finished his sentence to another level. Now, either this is the very first time that this has ever happened, or if this is something that just keeps happening, but nobody's known about it, that's pretty stupid. Because once this happens once, the gig is up. Everybody in the prison should know that no one's ever getting out of here. So this would have to be the first time that a prisoner got transferred to another floor after they finished their sentence and they fried the entire floor because everybody on that floor found out. To me, it's really convoluted in the sense that, like I said, this has to be the first time that this has ever happened. Now, also, while I'm here, I also want to talk about the fact that, first of all, if this was droids that were making these parts and all of this sort of thing, as programmed droids to just make these things, as opposed to actually humans, first of all, it would be a hell of a lot cheaper because they wouldn't need to feed them, they wouldn't need to bathroom them, all of that sort of thing. But then the uprising that happens in this episode would never happen because the droids are programmed to do their work. And that's what makes this whole facility thing, this whole prison thing, so damn stupid. The fact that there's no droids, and in saying that, even if they do have beings like humans working there, the only people working in this facility are all human. There are no aliens whatsoever. Being that the Star Wars universe is so vast, and there's constantly different species and this sort of thing being arrested, you would think that you would at least see one fucking alien. Anyway, the next morning, Kino gets up and says, we're doing this, do whatever you can. I'm basically considering myself to be dead, so just do what you need to do to try and get out. And that's pretty much where that scene ends. It then cuts to Lady that talks through teeth, and they're basically their plot to capture some dude. I can't even remember the premise of what they actually did with all of this, but it was just... Again, there's scenes in here that are so short and so almost pointless. It really doesn't make too much sense. This guy over here turns out to be a spy by the end of it, and we'll get to that. Then it cuts to Andor waking up and Kino saying that he's considering himself to be dead. We're doing whatever we can to get out, and he looks pretty angry. He's like, don't tell the other shift that this is what we're doing, because they'll find out soon enough. So you can see that they're all like looking at the guards suspiciously and all of that sort of thing. And everybody decides to look at the guards at the same time, you know, because that wouldn't be suspicious or anything. Then it cuts to this literal 30-second scene on Ferrix where some caretaker lady, this chick here, who's looking after Andor's mum, we haven't met her before, runs up to the doctor and says that she's not taking her pills because she can't eat and all of that sort of thing. It then shows Val's lesbian lover who's still spying on her, as you can see here. And she's just looking over it. And then it introduces this guy who's watching over it as well, who we don't know who he is, but there's not really much of an introduction for this character. It's just now another character that they've brought in that means nothing. And it is literally a 30-second scene. Like, literally. That scene didn't need to be there. I think all they're trying to do is show that Andor's mum, stepmum, foster mum, whatever it is that she is getting really sick and getting really bad and she's not eating and all of that sort of thing. But it was kind of, that was already pushed in the previous episode where Biggs was talking to her and she was breathing really wheezily. She was, not looking so good and all of that sort of thing. And Val and her girlfriend were saying that they can't stay here together, even though they wanted one night to just, at least scissor once. Then it cuts to Mon Mothma having her conversation with Dover, whatever his name is, who's this thug guy that Mon Mothma considers to be a thug. He is also a Chandrillan, so where Mon Mothma's from, he's from there as well. And he basically is willing to give her 400,000 credits. But the whole thing is that basically he wants his 14-year-old son to meet her 13-year-old daughter so that they can have this arranged marriage or something between the two. That's really the conditions of him lending her or giving her the money. He basically says that he doesn't want her to pay her back, and Mon Mothma's like, I don't want to owe anyone anything. I don't want to, have any favors that I owe to anyone. So I would rather just pay you the money back with whatever interest. And his only condition to giving her the 400,000 credits is that he wants a return invite to Coruscant. I don't know why he can't travel to Coruscant. He's got to be invited or something to be able to come to Coruscant or something like that. I don't really understand that either. But anyway, that's what it is. And his only condition is that his 14-year-old son has to meet her 13-year-old daughter. And he'll give her the 400,000 credits. And she's like, no. What makes you think I even agree to these arranged marriages that are from Chandrillan history or whatever culture? So I thought that was pretty stupid. And it pretty much ends with Mon Mothma looking like she's absolutely freaking out. Let me see if I can get to that. So sad. Anyway, then it cuts to Luthen in his store, and Clea walks in and starts telling him that there was a marking and there was something missing, which means that somebody wants to speak to him. And she's like, it's not the best time right now, and I'm really worried. And he's like, you're always really worried. And then that's it. And then it cuts back to Andor. He's saying like, this is now when we're going to do it. Andor goes into the bathroom again and starts trying to saw through this thing that's going to start leaking water. And I don't really know what his plan was with this, whether or not he knew that it was going to short circuit the floor, the electric floor that they've got, which we'll get to in a second. But it starts leaking through the prison, and like, that's pretty much it. And that's because this prison runs on hydro. It's essentially, because it's built in the middle of the water. And who built this facility? Like, was it built by droids? Was it built by humans? Like, this whole prison thing is a bit ridiculous, to be honest with you. So the water starts leaking out through the pipe and starts leaking all over the floor. And he's moved to a position where he can pretty much just jump up onto the platform that drops down. Andor comes out of there, and they start dropping the platform down. Now, in this moment, the new prisoner picks up the thing and shocks him. He gets shot. A whole heap of people get shot throughout all of this. Kino is yelling orders at people to attack and all of this sort of thing. And instead of the guards aiming at him and shooting him, who it seems that's running this operation of trying to escape the prison, they just start shooting random people. And during that entire time, I don't know whether or not Andor really knows how to climb properly, because it takes him forever to climb up there. Now, I also want to point out that during this entire prison break, the fact that there are no guards, there's no extra alarms, there's no safety doors, there's no blast doors that just get shut down, or they can't shut down any sections of the facility or anything like that, is very much like the story thread of the reason why there's no shields on Fortress Inquisitoris is because no one would be stupid enough to attack it. The reason why there weren't enough guards at the heist place where they committed the heist in previous episodes was because no one would be stupid enough to attack it. It's almost that premise. The reason why there's not enough guards for how many prisoners there are is because nobody would be stupid enough to attempt an escape. It's absolutely ridiculous. And like I said earlier, the fact that a prisoner gets transferred from one floor to another floor after he finished his sentence, if that was to happen at any time, the entire facility would eventually find out that that's what's happening. So this has to be the very first time that that's ever happened. And it's absolutely pathetic. It's absolutely ridiculous. So he gets told, because they're about to fry the entire floor, Kino tells everybody to jump on the tables. And because the water's been leaking out and one of the prisoners gets fried during that, it shorts out the entire floor. So everything's okay. They can't no longer zap them all or anything like that. And Kino calls for them to attack again. They start climbing up. Andor takes down the 2 guards at the top of the ramp. And this is what I'm talking about. He ends up taking out this guy here who's sitting at the thing. There's no extra button. He's just constantly trying to push the button to make the floor electric. Whereas there's no alarm. There's no letting the central part of the prison know, the command center know that there's a uprising of prisoners. There's no blast doors to shut it all down. Nothing like that. They then start running through the prison. They grab the blasters that they need, taking out more and more guards. Like these guards here, they have no idea what's going on. Right? They just want them to check what's actually happening, why there's leaking water, and which is what Andor ended up causing to happen. So they start taking out floor by floor and liberating essentially all of the prisoners, or all of the ones that they come to, until they get to the command center of the facility. And this, again, was pretty stupid. So Kino walks in and tells them to essentially shut it down, turn it off, right? And he shoots the guard that was over here to basically show that he's not joking around. This guy is freaking out. They're both sort of freaking out. They've got no blasters. They've got no guards. Nothing. This is the command center of this facility, and there's 3 people working in there and no guards. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? They then threaten this guy to turn it all off, and he says that, nah, this guy is the one that's got the ability to turn it all off. He gets him to turn it all off. And the other guard is like, if we shut it down, then it'll take forever to turn it all back on again. And it's like, what makes you think that these prisoners want you to even turn it back on again? It's so stupid. So Kino then goes to make his announcement to the entire facility, all the prisoners that don't know what's going on. And it's kind of funny in this moment because Kino is sort of hesitant to start speaking, right? And of course, they have to use, I've got to show you this. So they've got to use the audio system, the thing that they talk into, the microphone from A New Hope. You know, the one that Han talks into when they're breaking Leia out of the prison. You know, Easter eggs. I'm sure a few seals clapped just at seeing that. Anyway, like I said, Kino's a bit hesitant in what he's doing, right? Now, they've already taken out a couple of floors, they've already taken out a couple of guards, and he killed one of the guys in this command center, and it doesn't really make too much sense to me in regards to why he's so hesitant in regards to speaking. Andor's like, come on, Kino, you're the only one that can actually do this, and then he starts speaking. Andor's like, is that the best you can do? Or is that the best you got? Because it was a bit weak in regards to what he was saying. And then he sort of fires up and starts speaking to everyone and starts opening all the doors. The guards start freaking out because Kino reveals to all the prisoners that the guards are all outnumbered, because they are, because nobody would be stupid enough to break out of this prison. And that's pretty much it for that. They don't even kill those last 2 guards. They just leave them alive and run away, even though they've already killed most of them. I would have thought that they would have killed as many as they can. Then we get the title of the episode, One Way Out, and they start chanting that as they're running through. One way out, as they're running. The guards are all hiding because they know that they're outnumbered, and they get to the top. And this is where they've all got to jump. And Kino says, I can't swim. And this again was stupid to me. If you're not going to make him jump at the end, right? Or Andor say, I'll help you swim to safety or anything like that, then kill him. If he's going to be the only one left in this facility out of all the prisoners, and there's just the guards and him left, what's going to happen to him? Again, he announced that it was Kino that was actually talking to all the prisoners and essentially created this rise up from the prisoners. So here's a dead man because he doesn't jump. He stays on the platform, and Andor ends up getting, like, pushed off.
Can't swim.
Like there. He gets actually, like, knocked off into the water just as Kino's saying, I can't swim. And Kino doesn't jump. He just sort of starts walking backwards a little bit while everybody's jumping off. Now, if Andor jumped off with what they've just been through, if Andor jumped off and Kino jumped off not long after that, I'm sure Andor would have helped him swim to safety. But no, Kino just stays there and that's it. Then it cuts to Coruscant again, where the ISB guy that we saw in that previous scene is going to meet up with Luthen. So he was the one that left the markings for Clea to find and wants to meet up with him. He's then got this earpiece that he gets and Luthen starts speaking to him. Now, it basically comes down to the fact that he's got a family. He's just had a daughter that he'll probably never see. And I don't know what his connection is to the rebellion or anything like that. He mentions Aldani, which is where they did the heist. And Luthen mentions that he had nothing to do with it, which actually he kind of had everything to do with it. While he's on the earpiece, he's just going up to the level that Luthen's on. So they stop talking through the earpiece and that. And Loney, I think his name is, wants out. That's this guy here. He wants out. He doesn't want to be the Imperial spy anymore. He doesn't want to be the mole in the ISB. He's trying to tell Luthen that he's sacrificed enough and he can't do this anymore. And Luthen is basically just trying to talk him into staying because he needs him. He gives Luthen all the information that he can about this other thing that's been going on. And basically that has to do with the guy that Luthen wanted to meet with, Sol Guerrera. And it's got to do with his team of people that they've actually, you know, set a trap for, the ISB chick and everything through there. Luthen then, he then goes I've sacrificed enough. What have you sacrificed? And then Luthen goes on this long speech. I will say the acting in this was totally fine from him, but it was drawn out. He just mentions that he's sacrificed everything, and that's pretty much it. He goes into a bit of detail in regards to what it is that he like I said, he's sacrificed. And I can already see people out there going, oh my God, that's one of the best speeches we've ever seen in Star Wars. That's one of the best pieces of dialogue that we've ever seen in Star Wars. And I couldn't disagree with it more if people are out there saying that. It was fine. It was drawn out and it didn't necessarily need to go as long as it did. You know, he's forming this rebellion and he's doing all of these things and he'll never get to see the future of that. He's already come to terms with the fact that he'll always feel this devilish way because of things that he's done. He'll never have a future. And that's pretty much that conversation. And he says to him that he's sacrificed anything and he goes, stay with me. And that's the end of that. We see Andor and his buddy from Rogue One running through the sand because they made it to land. And then that's where the episode ends. First of all, the premise of the prison is really ridiculous to me. First of all, the fact that there's no actual aliens. It's all human that are working there, or all humans that are working there. And the fact that it's not droids. And the fact that they referenced in a previous episode that it's actually cheaper to have these guys working there than it is to just have programmed droids working there. First of all, there wouldn't have been this uprising. Second of all, you wouldn't have had to transfer droids from one thing to another after they've finished their sentences because they don't have sentences. They're just programmed. They don't have to feed droids. They don't have to bathroom droids or anything like that. I already talked about this. The whole premise of this prison is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that it's powered, I mean, we talk about the Death Star, right? And the Death Star was powered by Kyber. But the fact that this is a prison that's run on hydro, and that's why they actually had to build it in the middle of an ocean or something, it's a little bit ridiculous to me. And again, the whole idea of there not being enough guards is exactly the same as them saying the reason why there are no shields is because nobody would be stupid enough to attack it. There was a lot of overacting from Andy Serkis in this, and I know that's probably going to be a hot take. People are probably going to hate hearing me say that, but it really was. And even from Andor in this episode as well. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. On the surface level, it's probably a better episode than some of them because at least there's some action to at least get you through it, push you through it a little bit more. You kind of just watching these things happen and people dying and people getting blasted and stuff like that. Cool to an extent. But it's everything else around that doesn't make a lot of sense. The 30-second scene on Ferrix we didn't need. And the only reason why they put that in there was to introduce a character that wasn't really introduced. So everybody's like, ooh, who's that? The scene with the ISB chick, I just can't stand her. Because she annoys me. Her face annoys me, and the way she talks annoys me. Fucking pisses me off, in fact. That's pretty much it. I mean, we got 2 more episodes. 2 more episodes to go, and Andor's now escaped. We've had the heist, which again, they just cut that storyline completely off. Don't know what's happened to the 80 million credits. Don't know why Mon Mothma needs to go to this guy as opposed to maybe like, and I've mentioned this before, a Bail Organa, or even go to Luthen after he got the money from the heist, the 80 million credits. Still don't know what the go is with that. And now we've got the jailbreak, which is now complete. We've got 2 more episodes. It's going to probably be something to do with more the storyline of what's going on with the ISB chick and the traps that she's setting up, and the link from that to Sol Guerrera, and then the link from Sol Guerrera to Luthen. But I don't know where the link is with Andor in this story, going into the last 2 episodes. What should really be happening is Andor should be going back to where he left his 200,000 credits from the heist, above the shower there, and then start looking for his sister again. And if he goes back to Ferrix, because he said that he's going and never coming back, and he should never be going back, but if he ends up going back to Ferrix, that'll be a joke within itself. Anyway, that's all I've got. I didn't like this episode. On the surface level, it was fine for Disney canon and Disney Star Wars because it's just surface level crap. But then when you actually like start to think about these things and break them down, it's crap. It's just a whole lot of crap. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week for episode 11. Later, guys.